What I'm doing today is I'm going to replace the transmission in my car because it's leaking really bad. The transmission, other than it leaking, it's actually working fine. So what I did, I went ahead and bought some new gaskets for it, front pump seal, tail shaft seal, pan gasket, and a few other things. Since it requires pulling the transmission, I already have a transmission sitting on the shelf that I went through about a year and a half ago. I don't know how good it is. I pretty much just replaced all the friction material and most of the gaskets. It's my first transmission I've ever actually torn apart. So we'll see how that goes. If it ends up not working out, I can just take the transmission that's in this car now and then just replace those gaskets since I've already gone ahead and purchased them. So what I like to do first is obviously disconnect the battery. Always want to do that. But I like to disconnect the TV cable first, and then I'll do the two 9/16 bolts at the very top of the bolt housing, and then I'll actually lift the car up, and then I'll start removing drive shaft, torque converter bolts, stuff like that. Then I'll take it out. So that's the easiest way I found out to do it, most efficient. I've also went ahead previously and put a drain plug in the transmission pan. So that actually makes life a lot easier too. Okay, I'm looking at the pan right now. I lied. I do not have a drain plug in this. I've installed several drain plugs in transmissions, and apparently this is not one of them. Now, that's the drip. If I had to assume anything, it looks like it's coming from, it's kind of hard to tell. If I had to assume, it's probably coming from the pump, just because it's a complete dirty mess up there, but that stuff can migrate anywhere. So, but either way, it's probably either that front pump seal that the shaft goes through, the torque converter goes through, or it's the pan gasket. It is likely that the gasket behind the pump could be leaking as well. Other than that, I mean, it's just a complete mess. Hopefully I'll switch the engine out sometime soon because everything on it is just leaking. It is the original OZ code 204R. It's kind of hard to read, but you can at least you can see the OZ. So I'll start taking it apart. I got this flywheel wrench, and I just got it. I've never used one before. I just took it out of the package, but I gotta say it works really good. I don't know how I got away with not using one. They're really simple to use. All you have to do is just grip it on. It rotates really easily too. It's probably one of my new favorite tools now. Not sure if it's going to work. Old. This is a Monte Carlo SS transmission. It's going to be difficult to see. you can see right here it says CZ. That's a Monte Carlo SS. And then right there is 87. That's usually I believe that's the date, or the year, I'm sorry. Billet servo. It's got parts from a shift kit in it. It does have bigger boost valves in it. This transmission, as far as I know, it's completely stock. The TV cable has been replaced on it, but it's kind of an oily mess. I'll go ahead and get the converter on and throw it in the car. So what I'm doing now is making sure everything's plugged in, fastened down. I gotta lower it, then I gotta put in the top bolts for the transmission and connect the TV cable. I'm using the original TV cable. Usually I use the ones that have the adjustable NARP. I usually put a new cable on with a fresh transmission. But for this instance, I'm just going to go ahead and use the original one. I got all my pan bolts tied already, or at least snugged down. You don't want to over torque them because you don't want to push that gasket out. And I've had the best luck with the cork gaskets too. Everything's fastened in. I'm going to take my TV cable, route it through, and plug it in. And it might already be set, but it seems like a lot of people like to overcomplicate these. Okay, it's snapped in. What I like to do, it's better to have it too tight than too loose. It's got a button on it. I'm just going to push it in just a little bit. Push it back. You want to push the cable back and make sure it's clipped in, and then kind of make sure you got enough tension on it. And I can already tell that's too tight, but I'm going to leave it, and you can always take it out. You can always take TV out. You just don't want it to be too loose is all. So now at this point, fill it up with transmission fluid, put the battery back in it, and test drive it. Okay, so the car's still leaking. I don't know if it's just a coincidence. I don't know if it might be the torque converter. If it's got a notch worn into the actual input shaft, then that could be a problem because it's got a new seal in it. So I wiped it down. I tightened some of these. I tightened the lines. So I don't know what to do next. I mean, if it's a torque converter, then obviously the converter's bad. I did snug the perimeter bolts down, or the pan bolts. So I don't think that's it. I think it's a converter. So great. Well, so I test drove the vehicle. Second gear slipping like crazy. It's leaking really bad still, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and drop the transmission once again. I got another torque converter I'll go ahead and put in it. Hopefully that'll fix the leak. As far as the sloppy 1-2 shift, I'm thinking maybe just the servo has too much clearance. That's really bad though, because you can easily fry the band. But I'll just look into it, see if there's anything I can do. So hopefully I'll figure it out soon. Here's a torque converter I just pulled out. I'm not sure if the camera is going to pick any of this up. Okay, this side looks all right. There we go, right there. I'm pretty sure this converter's bad. Probably not a whole lot you can do to save this. Kinda wish I would have found that out a lot sooner. Anyways, I'd say that's the problem. So in regards to the 1-2 slip, I went ahead and installed a couple of shims in the servo assembly. These shims, adjustment shims right here. I went ahead and added both of them. It does want you to be able to turn them in both directions in neutral. And I just used the drive shaft right there. The torque converter, I did look at the torque converter. I looked at the snout, and I believe this is a D5 converter. I think it was out of my Grand National. I looked at the snout. I mean, it was a good working converter. When I took it out, I just put in a higher stall. So I'm going to use this one for now. So hopefully this will at least take care of the leak. And as far as the 1-2 slip, hopefully I just didn't burn anything up. So I'm going to try that, and hopefully next I'll be driving this thing. As much as I hate saying it, but the car's still not fixed. What I'll probably end up doing tomorrow is putting the original transmission back in, since I at least figured out why it was leaking so bad. It's not leaking right now, so I'll call that a victory. Still problems with that transmission that I went through about a year or so ago. I don't know what's up with that. Maybe I'll look into it, but right now I've dropped the transmission twice, replaced R&R'd it twice. I think I'm done for the day messing with transmissions. So what I was really hoping to do though is tomorrow is start tearing down this 350 olds right here. Really, I would just probably end up just doing a cam swap on it. So so that's kind of my plan for tomorrow. I can get the transmission done in the morning, so I'll probably go ahead and just switch them back out. So all right, take it easy.